Hey everybody, it's Candy, aka Brown Eye Girl, 69. How y'all doing? Well, since I made that video yesterday, I went to work. I definitely had a different perspective at work and came home, had a pretty good evening. This morning, my daughter uh, awakened me and came over for a visit before she had to get to work. And had pretty good conversation. Got to catch up a little bit. That's the thing about when your children become adults and get their own lives is you don't really have a chance to really catch up with them that often because they're so busy doing what they got to do for themselves. Um, but everything's good with her and the kids and Hunter, and everything's great. I got on another live today. That was I didn't go on panel, but I was there viewing the live and interacting in the chat and whatnot, trying to throw out information according to what was being said on screen. So basically, trying to have a conversation with what was being said from the people on panel, as well as have a conversation with those folks in the chat itself. Nobody engaged, really. Sometimes I feel like people are just too attached. And I guess that's going to be another part of my awakening that I've got to go through is realization that I was once them. I was once that person attached to this physical realm. I was once that person attached to physical, materialistic things, to people, to expectations, to programs. I never wanted to feel this way. I never wanted to feel. I, at this stage in my life, I probably am. I feel the most disconnected I've ever felt my entire life from everything and everyone, other than my daughter and grandchildren and my mother. I have no connection to this world anymore. I have no desire for these worldly things anymore. I have no desire to try to work my way up the ladder in a corporate sense. I have no desire to be all that I can be for societal expectations or for societal praise or even for praise of others. I have no desire for any of that stuff. I I don't desire praise or validation from anybody other than myself. Like I was telling my daughter today, I was like, your thoughts are your thoughts, my thoughts are my thoughts. That's all that's in our head is our thoughts. Nobody else is there unless we allow them there. You're the only one thinking. Nobody else is thinking. You're the only one in here. Nobody else is in here unless you put them there. And that's what I've told her too was these programs were designed to keep us in fear, These programs were designed to keep us from actually coming to the truth of who we are. Who are we? We're source energy in a fleshly body. The fleshly body comes with a name, a place where they were born, a religion, all these things that are slapped onto you the moment you pop out of the womb. Where were where were we before we became into this body? Where is source energy? And what is source energy? Does source energy have a gender? Does source energy have a residence? Does source energy have a persona? Does source energy have any of these things that humans would think of? No. That's the thing about it. Is source energy is just that, source energy. It has no connection to anything. It's pure. It's 100% pure energy. Life force energy that gives life to all that it touches and all that it inhabits. Most people would refer to that as God, but I don't refer to source energy as God. We, have, as humans, have been given gods throughout humanity, throughout the thousands of civilizations that have walked on this place called Earth. Civilizations, empires, once thriving, once prosperous, once ruling, gone, demolished, and rebuilt upon. And that's what this place is. Civilizations and empires built upon civilizations and empires. And eventually, one day, the American empire will fall. We're really close to seeing it, I think. I do believe it will happen in my lifetime, unfortunately. That's just the breaks. This is the age of Aquarius, the age of awakening, the water bearer pouring out truth. There was a human in the history of civilization that once said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Most people nowadays think that Jesus was saying that he was the way, the truth, and the life. No. Jesus was saying, I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am being the monad. I am being source energy. We all are source energy, expressed in a different physical, fleshly suit, so to speak. Came here to experience life through these fleshly vessels, through these experiences. Now, do I believe that the system's been hijacked? Oh, yeah. By what? I have no idea. But I think it's mainly inner demons of folks, inner workings of people's minds that were so totally disconnected from source energy that all they could think of was themselves without regards to anyone else. Most people try to equate good and bad as something that happens outside of themselves. But the reality is, good and bad happens within each of us. And um, good and bad happens within each of us. Um, I think that's probably part of the default of being a human. But see, we're given all these programs. If you don't believe in God, you're going to go and fry in hell. You know, but then you have all these different sects of people out there that believe their God is the ultimate God. You know, you got the Christian God, Abrahamic God, that a lot of people refer to as Jesus, even though I see it as completely different. And then you got your Islam Muslim crowd that praise Allah. And then you have your Buddhists, and you got your Hinduists, and you have all these different religious groups. If you were to go back and research history throughout different civilizations here on Earth, they all had their own form of a god. Um, but those gods have been given to us as humans. Why? To control us. As humans, um, we're given tasks, given um, things to do to make other people a little more freer in their time. There's so many examples I could use. There's so many examples I could go through, and just it's overwhelming. The information that's coming into me right now is completely overwhelming. I just had to make a video about it because I feel like since I've had this experience that whatever's happened to me over the period of the last few days to my awakening, when I equate my awakening to happening, was in 2009, after I turned off my TV. But even now, what I'm experiencing, what I'm going through, is I can equate it to how I felt back in 2009 when I started awakening to all the flaws in the system, so to speak. But now I feel like I'm on a different level of information, that it's more of an inward level versus an outer level. I also feel like now that I feel like I have the perspective, I guess that's a good word. Now that I have the perspective that I have, what can I do with my life? What can I do with this energy that I have inside of me? What can I create for me that is going to make it easier for me to walk through this life happier and being able to put up a shield to the outside world? Like I told my daughter, I don't think we can get away from expectations that society presents to us while we're here on earth. We all have to basically pay to live here, right? But here's the thing. I can go out of my apartment and I can go to my job and I can do all these things that's required of me because I'm a human. Doesn't mean I have to like it. But I can pretend. I can go out and handle the world for the amount of time I need to handle the world to do the things that I need to do to survive here on earth. But the one thing I don't have to do, I don't have to participate in TV. I don't have to participate in entertainment. I don't have to participate in all the emotional drama, upheaval that's going on out in this crazy world we live in. Because if you do just sit back and scroll through social media as an observer as to what's going on out in the world, and you see all the things that you see, it makes you question things even more. Like, how did we get here as far as humanity, as far as species? How did we get to this point? But it also makes me wonder, before the collapse of other civilizations that have come before us, it makes me wonder if those humans didn't feel the same. And I do truly believe that we've been lied to about technology and how good humans have it now versus how humans had it back then. I believe every civilization and empire probably gets to a point where they feel like they're pretty knowledgeable and they have the best of technology, et cetera, et cetera. But then the collapse happens and everything's reset and everything's rebuilt upon a civilization that used to be. And then all the people that remain are given a new story to tell. And a lot of the truth is wiped away or buried under lots and lots of rubble. Why do you think out in the deserts of Arizona, Nevada, Utah, all those places that they have found homes that look like they were built into the rock or mountain? So they weren't built into those things. They were those things. Those were homes. Those were buildings already that existed. Cities wiped completely. How did they do it? I don't know. All I know is that we've had previous civilizations and previous civilizations slash empires before us that all seem to get to a certain point in reaching higher conscious technology, whatever, and then boom, everybody starts waking up, and then boom, something happens and wipes it all out. So I'm just wondering if we're at that point in time again. If it's getting ready to get all wiped out and erased and the cards all shuffled again and another round of games begin. These are the things I sit here and think of. And I am an observer. I observe things. I've always observed things. And sometimes I've been accused of observing too much, but it's something that I can't help. It's something that I can't change. It's just who I am. It's a part of who I am. It's just something that's always been there with me ever since I was born. Just very observant. I pay attention to things around me without me even realizing I'm paying attention to things around me. I soak up other people's emotions, energies. That's why I can go to my job. And I'm starting to recognize this. And last night I had a bit of an emotional breakdown over it at work. I started to cry a little bit about it at work because I seen it happen. I seen it in action. I was actually able to catch it happening. And that's what kind of proves to me that I'm a little bit more awake in my higher consciousness than I have been in a while. Here's what happened. Yesterday, I went to work. I was in a great mood, moving customers through. Probably had been at work for about, Let's see, I went in at 3 yesterday. And Monty, I was checking Monty out, but it was right before I checked Monty out, and she was leaving around probably 7 or so. Anyway, this guy, I had like 2 people before her, and the 2 people before her, um, the first person, I checked them out, no problems. The next person that came up, I was already sort of irritated before they got there, and I couldn't understand why I was irritated. This person didn't really say much to me, but they appeared to be irritated. Okay. So I check them out. I do my whole spiel, thank you, blah, 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 give them their change back, their receipt, and then they're gone. But this whole entire time that this was going on, I was very aware that I was picking up on this gentleman's feelings. Because right before he walked up, I wasn't irritated. Then all of a sudden, I just got irritated. But I was observing that it wasn't me that was getting irritated. It was just me picking up on this other person's irritation. And in the past, most of the time, I don't pick it up that it's somebody else's emotions until after the fact, until after a little bit of time's gone on, and then I've calmed down. And then I'm like, why did I allow other people's emotions to get to me? You know? But it's not something that I can control. Trust me, I've already done plenty of deep dives and researches into things that I know are me. And then when Monty came up and I checked her out, man, that's the thing that gets me about this job, and being the empathetic person that I am is I pick up on everybody's emotions. And then I release those emotions, and people think it's me. But it's not me. It's just the reaction to the information that I'm intaking, the information that's being swapped and processed without you seeing it. And yeah, that energy stuff, yeah. That's why it's difficult for me sometimes. That's why I have to run back into my home after a long day at work, because I've had to process and deal with so many different energies. It's draining. And sometimes those energies that I've processed and felt, my ego tells me it's me. Well, it's not me. It's not me at all. So now I'm the observer. And I'm very aware that I'm the observer, not the person that I was told that I am. All I can say is I hope enough folks wake up this go around that a wrench is thrown into the works, into the plans, and that they're foiled somehow, some way. They show us what they want to do in movies. They want to enslave us, even more so than we already are. It's time for people to awaken to the fact that all these things they have us divided on and arguing over and fighting over are things that are going to pass away as soon as we close our eyes and never open them again. So while we're alive, we need to focus on the things that do matter. And the things that do matter are the things that money can't buy. Peace, love, hugs, nugs. And until the next time, I'm out.